Next, I wanted to ask our controller and our party vice chair, Betty Yee, about the lay of the land for our state races, our statewide races. We have contested races on the ballot that are super critical as well.
Thank you, Deepa, and happy Diwali, everyone. And really a pleasure and an honor to join all of you. And congratulations, Deepa, for your extraordinary leadership of not only the caucus, but certainly of the community and just really the blessing of being able to celebrate Diwali together. You know, I would say that the statewide races, by and large, are in good hands with our Democrats, but we take nothing for granted. And I will say in the race for the next controller for California, there's been a lot of misinformation and frankly, a lot of ugliness that's been hurled at our Democratic candidates. So we have to be sure that we're setting the record straight. And that's why, you know, it really makes it's really important that we get on the phones, that we are speaking to voters about what's at stake in these elections, and particularly for the statewide races where we know that California, we just heard in the news that we're going to be emerging as the fourth largest economy in the world. And that's only possible when we have good policies that are uplifting all of our communities, our diverse communities here in California. But for all the statewide races, the governor certainly came out shining after the recall against him. He is in good stead. Our lieutenant governor, Secretary of State, Attorney General, all look very strong. Our treasurer, state superintendent of public instruction. So we are using these races, frankly, to also focus on our congressional races and our down ballot races, because we know that a lot of the policies that we've championed here in California are at stake. If we don't get our congressional endorsed candidates back elected to Congress, and even our new candidates that we've endorsed as a party, and then the down ballot races especially as well, because for all of our legislators and our statewide candidates who are out in the field, we are looking up and down the ballot to be sure that our voters are voting in every race.
Thank you so much, Controller. So I'd like to head over into our next segment where Controller Yee, I believe you will be with our CYD API caucus and
yes.
Our Women's Caucus board member.
Absolutely. So let me welcome both of them. We have with us Anita Narayana, who is an officer with the California Democratic Party Women's Caucus and also an executive board member. And we also have Lisa Tran joining us tonight, who chairs the API caucus for the California Young Democrats. And welcome to both of you. Really appreciate you being in dialogue. And, you know, as I think about what we are all working towards in these next less than 14 days now, we definitely want to understand and make sure that people know that everyone's livelihoods, everyone's health, everyone's ability to really see a bright future is really embedded in these elections. But we don't often just call out particularly what's at stake for particularly AAPI women, as well as young people in our community. You know, there's been a lot that's been happening affecting them, and I just wanted to get both your thoughts about you know, these issues about what's at stake in this midterm election. So Anita, how about you?
Sure, absolutely. Hi, Betty. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited because this year, just to go off of what you said, it is really important to vote all the way down the ballot. On my ballot this year, I get a chance to vote for two South Asians. Dr. Asif Mahmood, who will hopefully be my congressman soon, and also in my small town of Aliso Viejo with 50,000 people, I have a city council candidate that I get to vote for, and I've been canvassing for, who's also Indian. So I'm really excited to see the representation at all levels, and I think it's really important, and I want to reiterate the importance of going all the way down the ballot.
Yeah, thank you for that. And we know that for some of the local races, particularly school boards, you know, this is ground zero for the Republicans. So it's very important that we get our good candidates elected on our local city councils and school boards and special district boards. Lisa, how about you? For young people, what's top of mind in this election?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Vice Chair Betty Yee. Again, my name is Lisa Tran. I am the chair of the California Young Democrats AAPI caucus. This election is so important to us, and you know, we have to light the way for a better future. So much is on the ballot this year, from representation to affordable housing, protecting women's reproductive rights. most importantly, leaders who will stand up and condemn anti-Asian racism and hate incidents. We need leaders to uplift our immigrant communities, not exploit them for political gain, which we have seen the Republican Party use as a tactic over and over. California Young Democrats API Caucus is super proud to support Jay Chen, Aisha Wahab, and Dr. Asif Mahmood that are running this November. This will be our second time calling for both three candidates this cycle. They are leaders who have our backs in our communities, and I look forward to calling voters tonight about each of their platforms.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you for your leadership with the API Caucus. I know we've had so many volunteers coming out of CYD, just very focused on these races. And to both you and Anita, I can't think of a better way to just really encourage everyone to hit the phones and to do everything we can to turn out the vote, on this occasion of Diwali, where we know that this is about shining the light for a brighter future. And we know that there are so many who aren't able to join us because, they are really hoping for that light to be shining their way. So thank you for all the work that we're going to be doing together. And I'll turn it back over to you, Deepa.
Thank you so much. And thank you to my fellow party leaders for that really great discussion. Our next segment is with my sister in organizing, Harini Krishnan. We are colleagues for an organization called South Asians for America, where we mobilize South Asian voters all across the country, including here in California. You've been doing so much great work here. Actually, a CDP board member, Malia Williamson, has been leading the charge alongside Dr. Shai Roy. Harini, please take it away.
Thank you so much. First of all, Deepa, thank you for having me here. And I want to give a shout out to all the incredible speakers who spoke before me, and hearing Assemblymember Ash Kalra and Papa Kalra talk about the fond memories of Deepavali, reminded me. So I shared that this is the first Deepavali that I'm actually away from my children. My children are 22 and 24. And our fondest memories are Deepavali, waking them up early, putting nalangu on them, lighting sparklers with them, lighting diyas. But I'm around the country organizing the South Asian community because I truly do believe that this is a time that we need to come together to shine the light, to dispel the disinformation and darkness that is out there. So I'm trying to do my part. And it was an absolute honor to join Deepa last night at the end, Congressman Ro Khanna at the White House Diwali, and to see our voices centered. It is such a powerful feeling. To be seen, to be heard, and to be valued, and to be in those spaces. So I will tell you that I'm still emotional thinking about last night, and so grateful for an administration that values inclusion and diversity at its core. Like Deepa said, I'm the National Organizing Chair for South Asians for America, but I'm here in my capacity as a proud API Caucus member. And so I've had the pleasure in my capacity, both for CADEM as well as SAFA, to organize for Congress, for the candidates, Jay Chen for Congress, as well as Asif Mahmood for Congress, and know Aisha Wahab intimately well by virtue of, serving on the Fund Her board, 3 powerhouse candidates. So it is my absolute pleasure to welcome them today. And I want to start off with my first question, which is, and we'll start off, I'm going to ask Jay first, followed by Asif, and then Aisha. Each of you are trying to become a representative of some of the most diverse among areas in our state, and each of you have engaged South Asian voters in your respective districts. Could you talk briefly about why it is so important for you to make sure that we ask our South Asian communities to vote? And we'll start with you, Jay.
right. Hey, everyone. Thank you, Harini. Thank you, Deepa. It's great to see everyone, especially, I feel like I see Harini every other week. She's always coming down, organizing South Asians for America to come walk in my district. And this is a district that is so important and has such a large South Asian community. So I'm running in California's 45th congressional district, and we have the communities of Cerritos and Artesia, Fullerton and Brea. We actually have Little India within our district. And I've had the pleasure of visiting so many parts of this district and visiting. We have 2 Sikh Gurdwaras here. Yesterday, I was at the Jain Temple. This week, I'm gonna go visit the Baptist Temple in Chino Hills, where a lot of folks from Cerritos and Artesia actually visit. And I'm just so blessed to have a district that's this diverse. And it's so important to let folks here know, especially the South Asian community, know about how important their vote is. Because, in this district, many of the South Asians live in communities that used to be part of Democratic districts. They used to be, had, Linda Sanchez or Alan Lowenthal. The districts were never competitive. Now they are the key to the House. They are in a swing seat that has a 6-point Democratic majority. And so their votes really matter. And we also know that South Asians are among the most Democratic leaning constituencies in the country. Asian Americans lean Democrat, but South Asians within that group are the most Democratic. So that's why their vote is so important. They need to know that it counts and that they need a representative that's going to celebrate events like Diwali with them. And I'm going to throw into the chat a little video that I made with my family, so you guys can all enjoy that when you have a little bit of time. But definitely thank all the volunteers for your efforts and your support getting out the vote. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Jay. I saw that video and it is beautiful. So thank you for your leadership. We'll go to Asif next. I've known Asif for a long time. We were both supporters of VP Kamala Harris. So Asif, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Harini. Thank you for your leadership. Deepak, such a wonderful description of Diwali. And Anita, thank you for voting early. And please start walking around in Alicia Viejo. We're going to be there tomorrow night. First of all, I want to congratulate and say the happy Diwali to everybody here in California and the billions of Hindus and all other people in the world. Honestly, I grew up with the celebration of Diwali. And that was such a joyous time, the lighting, the spreading the sweets and hugs and love. Diwali is really lighting the hearts, lighting the soul, lighting the mind, lighting the relationship with your family, your neighbors, your other people. And you really, if somebody grew up back there in India or the subcontinent, they would know that people would not give the sweets and presents to people they only know, to strangers in the streets. And it was just like joyous occasion. And I have already had a pleasure of going to a couple of Diwali events, early events, and I will be in Baptist Church tomorrow, Baptist Temple tomorrow in Mandir, the beautiful Mandir. If somebody has not been to Baptist Mandir, honestly, I would strongly recommend. This is one of a kind. Not only truly beautiful Mandir, but inside it's just fabulous. Please, whenever you're in Southern California, is not here, definitely must see Mandir, really. Coming to the South Asian community, May and Jay represent are running in another district which is significant. Especially Jay's district has a whole lot, but my district has a lot of South Asians, especially in Yorba Linda, in Mission Viejo, and Alicia Viejo, and Brea, and all these areas. And South Asians are really up to the task for everything, in the business, in the academics, in the science, in the medicine, and everything. They are a little slow in voting. That's what we have seen, and I would accept that we should have done more work, and we really are working. And Harini, thank you for being so frequent visitor to Southern California, especially these 2 districts, and doing all the work. We need to make sure we are meeting some friends in Yorba Linda on Thursday. And we are trying, these people, most of them told me, I've met them in Gurdwara, that most of them have not voted, but now some of them are going to be registered and others will be voting. And we are trying to bring this thing that whoever now, because South Asians are actually very closely internet community. They talk to each other, they talk to their friends in the different cities. So we're going to make a little group that everybody who is not even politically activated, they will call them and ask everybody they know. And this is the best time. Honestly, Diwali comes at the not any better time than just 2 weeks from election, and we can reach out all of those who have been registered to vote, who have not been registered. They should register and vote now. And we are making sure that it's not only District 40. We want to make sure 40 and 45 both are fully covered. And Jay, I'll see you tomorrow at BAPS. And I promise you, we will both. I mean, I know that whole California challenges will make a difference, but these two districts will really, really make you proud on November 8th. It might be a couple of days before we'll get the election, but we will make you proud. We're working very hard, but actually you are working very hard, and that's what is going to make us cross the finish line. Thank you.
Thank you so much, God, Asif. It's so energizing to hear you and Jay, and we are going to do everything in our power to make sure that we exercise, our vote. Voting is our superpower. So thank you for reminding us of that. I'd love to go to Aisha next. Aisha holds a very dear place in my heart, a trailblazer, the first Afghan American elected to public office, running for state senate now. Aisha, please jump in.
Definitely. Well, I first want to just congratulate Deepa for this, great achievement she's made. Harini, you have been excellent on a lot of the issues, getting South Asians to get involved, to be honest, and Zara and Harris for always being involved. But I want to give a special shout out to you three, because you guys are women in this, and oftentimes, in the Asian community, women are not as highlighted. So I really want to give a kudos to all three of you ladies. It's very, very important we celebrate each other. And, for me, Diwali is incredibly important as an Afghan, as a neighbor to India. I always grew up with my parents kind of explaining what Diwali was. And I think it's important to reach out to the South Asian community in particular, because one, let's be honest, there's over 1 billion of them, right? And we cannot ignore that. And the mere fact that there's not enough representation, right? I think you mentioned, I'm the first Afghan-American woman ever elected to public office in the nation. And yet we know that we're constantly breaking ceilings, but it is our communities that are largely being ignored and largely being talked about, right? So as we are the 4th largest economy in the world, we need to make sure that we are inclusive, we are reaching out, we are ensuring that our holidays, as the congressman said, are being identified, recognized, and celebrated, and not being vilified, which I think many of us have dealt with, whether we're talking about kids in schools being bullied, whether we're talking about women's rights, whether we're talking about a lot of other things. And I think that this holiday and the meaning of the fight of good and evil, we do this every day. And as elected officials, as well as activists, as well as volunteers, we are making a change, and the goal is to make a positive change in our community. So I'm always very happy to learn more about other people's holidays and celebrate with everybody, because that is the country we want to build. We want to build an American dream for all of us that works for all of us and includes all of us. So thank you for having me.
That was so beautiful. And Aisha, as you were speaking, I was thinking about the group that was assembled at the White House Diwali. We had not only Hindus, Sikhs, and Jains and Buddhists, but we also had the Muslim community and Zoroastrians. We had Mr. Khizr Khan, a Gold Star veteran, who was sitting right front and center, and who was embraced by President Biden. So, what you said rings so true. Thank you for sharing those words. My next question, let's start with you, Aisha. The last time conservatives were able to capture governing majorities, vulnerable immigrant communities were singled out for disfavored treatment and under our laws, and we're still dealing with communities feeling unwelcome, right? And so why is it important for the Asian American, Pacific Islander, and South Asian communities to engage in the political process, given this?
Definitely. The larger Asian community as a whole, right? people don't understand us at the end of the day, right? There's roughly 1 billion plus Chinese individuals, 1 billion plus Indian individuals, millions of other smaller countries that represent what is Asia, right? And I do believe that, when we had the conservative majority, there was a lot of destruction, right? A lot of the advancements we've made as a community, as a society, as a country, where it's easier to destroy things than to build things, right? And I think it's incredibly important to be able to unite communities and thread that needle as to what makes us all human and all one community. It's really disgusting to kind of see and vilify different ethnicities because, we don't understand them or we don't take the time to really engage with them. So I think that, we don't want to see that again. I think that's why these elections are so important. And it's also, we see people pit one group of people against another, when at the end of the day, we are viewed and we are one community. So we are as strong as our most vulnerable community members. And it's our job, and Diwali reminds us that we are to protect, preserve, and support our most vulnerable community members first. So I think that's how I see things today in this election as well.
That was so beautiful. Every time you speak, I'm so inspired. What brings us together is so much stronger than what divides us, right? And Diwali, I think, is a reminder of that. Asif, would love to hear from you.
Yes. So, I want to remind you a very delicate and very crucial part, which is still existing in this state, not only in this country, in this state. You must think that California is the most progressive state, actually most progressive and most liberal and most open-hearted place on earth. We tweeted an email today, and I would strongly recommend, I cannot read that email here in this audience. And you can read that email on my tweet, and you would see the hatred, the grudge, the animosity some people hold against this. And we really, that does not scare me, that not make me more fearful, that give me more energy, more strength. That tells us there's a lot more work needs to be done. There's a lot more efforts, a lot more challenges we're going to face, and we really need to do that. And we will keep on getting those attacks until we come and we prevail, we win, and we educate whoever is kind of still ignorant and whoever is still not kind enough or generous enough to read about others, what they are doing and what their role is. And just my message to them is that immigrants are strength and power of America. The American progress is there because of immigrants. Some are immigrants a week ago, some were 10 years ago, and some were 100 years ago, and some were 200 years ago. Every segment of population who has immigrated from wherever they are, they have brought more strength, more taste, and more variety, and more progress to the United States. And we should never forget that this is not taken for granted. This is something we still have to fight, and our children and their children are still going to face it. But if we do not improve, especially in last 4 or 5 years, what our last president has done and has created this thing exists a lot. We have to work harder so that this place, schools and parks and playgrounds are safer for our children, and they are not bullied, they are not marginalized. And this is our responsibility. That is one of the biggest reasons I think Jay and I and Aisha are running, and many of you are working so hard. More than running, you're doing a bigger job. So we will keep on doing it until we find America a place where everybody harmoniously, inclusively, equally is participating in things, and everybody realize that progress of America is possible when everybody participates.
That was so beautiful. God, Asif, God, your words are so inspiring. Jay, I would love to hear from you, and especially in the context of, an ever increasing anti-AAPI hate, right? Why is it so important for our communities to come together, engage in this political process?
Unmute Jay.
Okay. So look, we saw what happened when we had a Republican president who chose to prey upon fear and used divisiveness to try to win points. I never imagined we'd see this type of anti-Asian hate resurge in our country, but he made it happen. And unfortunately, many others have taken his cue, and I'm facing that in this race. If you take a look at what's happening. My opponent doesn't have a record to run on, and so she's resorting to calling me a communist spy. I'm a Taiwanese American. I've got a top secret security clearance, and those, files scattered on the floor of the Mar-a-Lago, I can actually read those. But she's got nothing to run on, and so this is the direction she's going, and it's dangerous. And if she wins this race based on those types of lies and hate, it validates those types of attacks, and that's why it's so important what you're doing, not just my race, but in offices as well. And I don't want to take up too much time. You guys are here to make phone calls, and I'm also actually in the Bay Area right now for an event with Zoe Lofgren. So I'm going to say thank you. I've got to head out and try to talk to some folks here as well. But thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for your dedication. 2 more weeks, lay it all out. Let's wake up November 9th knowing that we did everything that we possibly could. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you for that call to action. And with that, I'm going to turn it to Asif. What is the single most important action that we can take to make sure that you're elected to office? Give us a call to action, you and then Aisha.
Thank you. The single most important action, if somebody can do, is knocking doors. We want anybody and everybody, not only you, please call your friends, your relatives, people you know, from the organizers, the activists. There are so many. They need to be knocking doors, because personal touch with the people is what makes most difference. We have TV ads running, we have flyers going, we have postcards written, a lot of people are making phone calls. And if somebody cannot walk because of long distance, somebody cannot walk because of some other physical disability or any other challenge, they should make phone calls. But knocking doors is really most important, and we should reach out each and everyone who is inclined to vote, or who we think is important to vote, or has a vision to vote right. We should bring them all, and that is the most important thing.
Thank you, Asif. Aisha, take it away. Give us your call to action.
Definitely. I would have to ask every single person to obviously vote. Tell your family members to vote, post on social media to vote. That's the way we can win. But I also want to talk about making sure that every single individual, when you see a candidate of color, a younger candidate, a woman candidate, whatever the case is, and you see lies being spewed in their race, defend them. Because it's millions of dollars vilifying them. And I really want to thank Deepa, as well as Harris, as well as you, Harini, because you guys have seen the lies. We just recently saw something, an ad that has darkened my skin and much more. That is happening here in the Bay Area in today's time from other candidates that supposedly represent the same values. So being able to speak out in support of those candidates that actually speak for the values of the Democratic Party is incredibly important, but also making sure that we vote and we tell people to vote.
Thank you so much. And I could not agree more with you. Let's all vote. Let's organize. When we organize, we win. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Deepa. Thank you to Jay. Thank you to Asif. Thank you to Aisha. We cannot wait to see you cross that finishing line on November 8th. Deepa, take it away.
Thank you. I next want to introduce my colleague, Zara Haji, who will share some remarks before we head into phone banking.
Thanks so much, Deepa, and thanks so much for that inspiring conversation. My name is Zara Haji. I'm with the California Democratic Party API Caucus, and I'm super, super honored to be here alongside elected and community API leaders across the state to not only celebrate Diwali, but also get out the vote for our phenomenal candidates, Jay, Aisha, Asif. I know I'm going to be pretty short because I know we're all here to talk to our community. We're here to talk to voters, make some calls. But first, just want to give a couple shout outs. First off, huge thanks to Deepa, our chair, and our API Caucus board for making this Diwali celebration today happen. Also, huge thanks to our Democratic Party staff, our interpreters, particularly Vincent and Diya, for all their hard work in making today happen. And to all of you that are taking time out of your Diwali celebrations to make some calls and to talk to our community about our candidates who are going to pave the way for a better future. And the stakes couldn't be higher, right? Our abortion rights are on the line. We need to take bold action on our climate crisis. The lives of our AAPI communities are literally on the line. And we need to have leaders who are ready to fight for us and to elevate our voices. And Aisha, Asif, and Jay are only some of those candidates across the state who are going to be lighting that way and paving that path. So again, thank you all so much for being here today. Happy Diwali, and let's make some calls. Thank you.